There's a town in the countryside outside Kyoto where an 82-year-old craftsman still weaves obi, kimono sashes, using only 3 colors. It's not a lack of resources. It's not a lack of imagination. It's a discipline that has crossed 400 years, passed from master to apprentice, never once written down in any Western fashion book. While the world out there taught you to buy more pieces, more prints, more options, this man and generations before him learned the opposite, that true elegance is born from chosen limitation. Have you ever stood in front of your overflowing closet and thought, I have nothing to wear? That phrase, repeated by millions of people every single day, has a curious root. It's not a lack of clothes. It's an excess of color, of noise, of decisions. The Japanese identified this problem centuries ago, and they built a solution so simple it seems almost naive until you understand the philosophical depth behind it. Today, you're going to learn what the tailors of Kyoto call san-shoku no okite, the law of 3 colors. And by the end of this video, you will never look at your wardrobe the same way again. Have you already gotten your book, A Woman Japanese Complete? Click the link in the pinned first comment to download the book. Last copies available for download. Let's be honest for a moment. You probably have a full closet. Really full. Shirts, pants, coats bought on sale, on impulse, during different phases of your life. And yet, every single morning, the same anguished ritual repeats itself. You open the closet door and feel that strange emptiness. Not because you lack clothes, but because nothing speaks to anything else. Behavioral psychologists call this decision fatigue. Every small choice, what to wear, which combination to try, drains a limited reserve of mental energy. Steve Jobs understood this. So did Obama when he narrowed his suits down to 2 colors. But you don't need to become monotonous to gain that freedom. You need a system. And traditional Japan built, over centuries, the most efficient color system ever created. Not out of trend, but out of historical and spiritual necessity. In the traditional training of Japanese martial arts, calligraphy, and tea ceremony, there is a structural concept called Kihon, literally fundamentals or basics. Before a kendo student is allowed to improvise a strike, they spend years repeating the same basic movements, thousands of times, without variation. Before a calligrapher develops their own style, they copy the master's stroke exactly for years. Kihon isn't a limitation imposed by rigidity. It's the foundation that, once internalized, allows for all the freedom that follows. There's a common expression in traditional Japanese teaching, shu ha ri. First, you obey the form, shu. Then you break the form, ha. And only then do you transcend the form, ri. But no one skips the first step. In your wardrobe, your 3 colors are your Kihon. They aren't a prison. They're the fixed base you master first, so that only afterward you gain real freedom to improvise with textures, subtle patterns, accessories, without ever losing coherence. Anyone who tries to have style without an established color Kihon is trying to improvise a sword strike without ever having practiced the basic movement. The result is always disjointed. Choosing your color Kihon means resisting the urge to buy the pretty, isolated, different piece before having a solid base. The first 10 to 15 pieces in your closet should belong strictly to your 3 colors. Only after that Kihon is fully absorbed, after literally any combination works effortlessly, do you earn the right to occasionally break the form with a piece outside the palette, knowing exactly how to do it without destroying the harmony. If there's one Japanese concept that sums up what it means to dress well without ever seeming to try too hard, that concept is Iki. Iki was born in the pleasure districts of Edo in the 18th century, among geisha, sophisticated urban merchants, and the chonin, merchant class, culture. Unlike aristocratic elegance, which flaunted wealth through excess, Iki was the elegance of the urban class.
subtle, self-aware, filled with an almost secret refinement. A truly iki kimono never showed its sophistication on the surface. The most expensive silk, the most elaborate embroidery was placed on the inner lining, visible only in a flash when the person moved, crossed their legs, or raised an arm. The richness existed, but it didn't shout. It revealed itself only to those paying attention.
That is exactly the behavior your third color, your accent color, should have within the rule of 3 colors. Your accent color shouldn't be spread across the entire outfit. It should appear the way the lining of an iki kimono does. A tie, the lining of a coat, the sole of a shoe, a button detail, a sock. Small, almost hidden, and precisely because of that, far more sophisticated than if it were splashed across an entire shirt. Iki is the opposite of the giant logo on a t-shirt, of the print that screams, "Look at me." It's the elegance of someone who doesn't need instant validation, because they know, internally, that the sophistication is there, even if no one notices right away. When you apply iki to your third color, you stop trying to impress with color and start impressing with intention. In traditional Japanese gardens, there's a landscaping technique called miegakure, literally, appear and hide, or visible invisible. A stone path in a classic Japanese garden never reveals its final destination all at once. It curves deliberately behind a rock, a tree, a low wall, hiding the next stretch, so it's only revealed as you physically move forward. The garden designer deliberately builds moments of anticipation and discovery. Nothing is handed over all at once. This principle of hiding to reveal gradually has a direct, non-obvious application to your color palette. Have you already gotten your book, A Woman Japanese Complete? Click the link in the pinned first comment to download the book. Last copies available for download.
Your accent color, that bolder third color in your palette, gains far more power when it appears intermittently rather than constantly. If you wear that color every day, it loses its impact. But if it appears in a miegakure way, today in a scarf, next week in a shirt, the following month only in a coat's lining, each appearance carries more weight, just like the stone path that reveals its next curve only at the right moment. This completely changes how you should shop within the system. Your accent color doesn't need to and shouldn't appear in many pieces. 2 or 3 well-chosen miegakure pieces are worth more than 10 pieces in the same color, used without discretion. Controlled scarcity is what creates the effect of discovery, exactly as in the Japanese garden. In Japanese calligraphy and sumie painting, there's an aesthetic principle called yohaku no bi, the beauty of blank space, or the beauty of the margin. A master calligrapher never fills the entire paper with ink. They deliberately leave large empty areas around the main stroke, because it's that blank margin that gives the stroke its strength, its context, its breathing room. A scroll completely covered in ink would lose all the impact of the individual stroke. It would just be noise. In your color palette, the neutrals, white, gray, black, serve exactly that function of yohaku no bi. They aren't boring colors or filler pieces without importance. They are the blank margin that allows your 3 main colors to breathe and gain impact. A neutral gray pair of pants next to a deep indigo blue shirt isn't an unimaginative choice. It's what allows that blue to actually be noticed, instead of visually competing with other strong colors around it. Many people, when trying to build a colorful wardrobe, make the mistake of eliminating neutrals, thinking they're boring, and end up with a set where no color stands out, because they're all competing with each other all the time. Yohaku no bi teaches the opposite. Emptiness, the neutral, isn't an absence of value. It's what creates the value of whatever you want to be noticed. A wardrobe that respects this blank margin instantly looks more elegant because it has clear visual hierarchy, like a well-placed stroke on a respected scroll. Today's final pillar might be the most surprising because it shifts the focus from yourself to the people around you. Kokoro Kubari is a Japanese concept that roughly means distributing the heart. The practice of paying careful, anticipatory attention to the needs and comfort of others without being asked. It's the principle behind traditional Japanese hospitality, the omotenashi of ryokans and tea ceremonies, anticipating what the other person needs before they even realize it themselves.
In the tradition of Japanese dress, choosing the right colors for an occasion, a funeral, a wedding, a formal visit, was never about what I want to wear. It was about what my appearance communicates to whoever is about to meet me. Discreet colors at a funeral weren't an arbitrary rule. They were a gesture of kokoro kubari, quiet care for someone else's grief, so that your presence wouldn't visually impose anything on another person's pain. A wardrobe built on 3 coherent colors carries a similar effect, just in everyday life. When you dress consistently, discreetly, and harmoniously, you communicate without words a form of respect toward whoever stands in front of you. You're not asking people to visually process a chaos of competing colors and patterns just to be able to talk to you. You quietly make it easier for them to pay attention.
This is the opposite of dressing just to draw attention to yourself. It's dressing while thinking about how your visual presence affects the space and the people around you. A small, almost invisible gesture of kokoro kubari applied to your own image. Let's bring it all together. Kihon teaches you to master the fixed base of your 3 colors before improvising. Iki teaches you to hide your sophistication in the details, not on the surface. Miyagakure teaches you to reveal your accent color little by little, like a garden path that never gives itself away all at once. Yohaku no Bi teaches you that neutrals aren't valueless emptiness. They're the margin that gives strength to what matters. And Kokoro Kubari reminds you that getting dressed, in the end, is also an act of care for the people around you.
None of these concepts were created to solve fashion problems. They were born centuries ago, in gardens, in tea ceremonies, in the merchant districts of Edo, as ways of organizing life with intention. Fashion is simply where we choose to apply them today. Maybe you came into this video expecting to learn just a practical trick to save time in the morning. And you will save time, in fact. But what Japanese wisdom really offers you is something bigger. The reminder that true abundance was never in quantity. It was always in the relationship between a few well-chosen things, sustaining one another. The craftsman in Kyoto, weaving obi with his 3 threads of color for 60 years, doesn't feel limited. He feels free, because he no longer needs to choose among 1,000 possibilities. He already knows, deeply, what is his. Maybe that's the true lesson hidden inside your closet. It's not about having less. It's about finally choosing what is truly yours and letting everything else go.